Oh, oh, oh.
I already did the thing. Hello. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box? What's in the box? Lost my breath. Like you're going underwater.
Yeah. This is What's in the Box with Zach and Cheryl.
Cheryl.
That's Cheryl. I'm Zach.
Cheryl.
I'd be the Zach previously mentioned. Yeah. So last podcast. Also, I'm super excited that we are in the studios.
Back in the studio.
Back in the studios.
Back in the studio.
When I was uploading the other one, I was like, that just looks so nice. It just looks so nice.
We're back at it. Back at it again.
Back at it again. Back in the studio again. Anyway, so last time I said that we were going to talk about something that you're not very good at.
Oh.
But I have a few other things that I want to talk to you about too. Just stuff that's come up this week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought would be really fun. But we're going to start with that. We're going to start with what I said last time of what we put in our minds and spirits and bodies and how it affects us. So, I've said that I feel like what you look at and see and stuff affects your mental states.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll ask you, how do you feel about that? How do you feel like that actually affects you? Or do you think it affects you at all?
I mean, I can't deny it, yeah. I just don't care.
I just don't care that I'm super negative.
I would be negative whether the media was there or not. It just doesn't help it. That's all.
I was going to say that. I feel like my biggest thing isn't necessarily that, like, it changes. I mean, it definitely has the ability to. It's not necessarily that it, like, changes who you are, but I feel like it just gives you more ammo for something that's already in there. Like, if you already, well, that's a bad example, but, like, if you already have, like, an issue with, like, domestic violence or whatever, but you're not in that relationship anymore, if you see a video about it, it's automatically going to trigger something in you that's going to make you, like, super angry, aggressive about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what certain things in social media do if you're constantly exposed to it, is that you're just in a constant state of being annoyed and pissed off and whatever. I don't think it's very good.
Interesting.
Anyway, that came up though because
Very interesting.
Because you said that that's why I'm not angry all the time. Is because I don't put that in my life. I don't watch videos that are super, like, annoying or.
Oh. I like my videos.
Like
I don't care how they make me
like
feel.
with political things or like look at all these things that people said or controversial things. I just don't. I just like to laugh and be happy, and that's most of the things that I. Or butts, which make me happy in the long run. So I feel like both things. Yeah, I can't remember what we were talking. I was watching something, and I showed you a video. It was something of a comedian or whatever, and you're like, "That's why you're so, like, in a good mood, is because that's what you put in your that's what you, like, put in your life to watch." And I'm like, "Yeah." Whereas you're over here watching conspiracy videos about how everybody's lying to us, and
not lately. Lately, I've been watching a lot of arrest videos and a lot of
yeah, those ones.
Emergency response team videos.
Are they making you angry?
No.
Good.
I'm just kind of like, oh, people are dumb.
Oh, people do dumb things. Yeah. That's cool.
They get hurt.
Who knew?
And sometimes people get hurt in very interesting ways.
Wait,
and I'm like, oh shit.
Do you have your phone on you?
And and the best part about it is I watch them on YouTube, so sometimes I get to see the guts. Because sometimes they're not censored. and that's cool. Like,
That's cool.
I saw a video, an ER video thingy, a 911 response.
George Clooney wasn't in it.
Of this guy. It was a EMT respond thing. So it was them showing up to the house, and this guy had accidentally.
Is somebody baking muffins?
Cut through his gut with a saw blade, and his intestines were falling out. And so they got there, and he was laying. Yeah, they got there, and he was laying on his chair, like his recliner chair, like this, holding his guts in.
And then he went, surprise!
No, that would have been cool too. That would have been something I would have done.
Just laying there with the fucking poppers. Just laying there and be like, I think something went wrong, guys, and then open and
No, he was like he wouldn't let it go until the EMT was like, okay.
He just wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, well, I don't blame him. But the EMT guy was like, well, let's lift your hand here. I'll put my hand there so we can, replace the pressure and so I can get a good look at it. And they didn't blur it. So I got to see the intestines and I was like, that's cool.
Do they still look like the same intestines?
They look like intestines. Yeah. I mean, it's cool, but it's not like, I didn't know it looked like that. It was like, yeah, that's exactly how the movies make it look.
It looks like it looks like the same intestines I've been seeing.
Same.
Everything.
Yeah. But he did not cut his intestinal tract, so he was okay.
Good for him. We wish you a speedy recovery if you haven't died already.
He didn't.
That's nice.
At the end of the video, they do this person
living a long and healthy life.
And a lot of them die.
Well, yeah.
Most of those get blurred. It's usually the ones that don't die that don't get blurred.
So they gotta walk around with people being like, dude, saw your intestines on TV the other day.
Well, I think it's a choice
pretty
thing.
Gnarly.
Well, I think it's a choice thing. You have to sign a...
Well, yeah. I would totally.
Yeah, I would sign that away.
I'd
be like, made me rich off of this.
No, I mean, like, if it was like my neighbor or something, I totally would bring it up as many times as I could.
Oh, for sure. Like, I saw your intestines.
I'd be like, I've seen inside you.
But, yeah, I don't know. That was like a whole week endeavor thing. But I'm kind of bored of those now because a lot of them are just head trauma. Which is fine. I mean, it's still cool. But, like, after, like, the 5th head trauma, you're like, yeah, I know how this is going to go. Oh, by the way, you want to talk about something else that's fucked up?
Disney.
The healthcare, the EMT healthcare in England or Britain or whatever, way fucking better than EMT healthcare out here.
Same with Canada.
They do, yeah, Canada too, yeah, because I watch them too. Both Canada and England do a lot of the treatment there on the spot. The EMT does, whereas our EMTs don't do almost any treatment.
They just patchwork you to get you
to the hospital.
Yeah, get you to the hospital.
But like, yeah, so like all the head traumas you'd see from like Canada or England, they put them in a coma before they even get them to the hospital. And I was like, that's cool. Because then I was watching like American ones, and I was like, why aren't they putting them in a coma? And I was like,
I really would like to sleep through this.
No, like I'm just watching it thinking, I've seen this head trauma before. They put that guy in a coma, and then I'm like, they're not putting this guy in a coma. Isn't he gonna get hurt? And then I'm like, oh, because it's America, and we don't do that. It's
America, because we care more about not taking responsibility than we do saving somebody's life.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But I think, so, to the point, though, I think
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
We tracked.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Because that does still lead to my point, though. But I think there's something to be said about what you let into your life. I think that has a lot to do with your mental state and how you perceive the things around you. Because, like, if you're in not just with, like, videos and, like, social media and stuff, but just in general.
Mm-hmm.
the same as if you're in a relationship with somebody that is constantly nagging you and constantly nagging you and constantly nagging you. When you're outside of that situation, you're still going to be in that headspace.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's going to be negative. You could have the greatest day ever, and you're still going to be in that negative headspace because, like, that's what you've have in your life. And I feel like
So what about old people who don't use social media? Why are they all so negative?
Because they're bitter, because they've had time to be negative and they have it instilled in their head to be that way.
I was just curious.
I think, yeah. But also, I think that kind of plays into that. I think the more that you have certain things in your life, the more it embeds a part of your personality. Like the more, I don't know, this is a bad example, but the more like you have somebody pushing you of like, our government is shit, our government is shit, our government is shit, the longer you have that in, I know, that's why I said it was a bad example, but the longer you have that in your life, even if our government turns around, because you've had that instilled in your head for so long, kind of like in relationships when somebody convinces you you're crazy, even outside of that relationship, you still have that mentality of, oh, maybe I'm crazy, or oh, maybe I'm making this up. It's the same mentality. It's the same thought process, is that if you have something that you're seeing every single day that's pushing a button of yours, even when you get out of that, or even when you're like, oh, I'm going to watch something else or whatever, it starts still being a part of what you see in your day-to-day life, even outside of that. Whereas, I'm not saying that like I do it great.
I also still watch a lot of crochet videos.
I'm just saying, like, if you, like I do, I don't know, I just find most things funny just because, like, that's my whole thing, is that I would just rather...
See, I find people getting arrested by cops funny.
I find people's intestines falling out and them not blurring it out funny.
I don't find that funny. I just find that cool. It's really interesting, that's all. But I find people getting arrested funny. I find fights with people and cops funny. I find it really funny when they pull out the taser.
I think people's reactions to cop videos when it gets serious is funny to me. I like people that, like...
Why are you doing this?
Like, yeah, like,
why are you doing this?
Yeah, like, scream and yell at a cop or, like, spit on them, and then they go to tase them, and they're like, why are you doing this? I'm like...
Those are my favorite ones! Those are my favorite ones!
You spent the last 10 minutes talking shit.
My favorite cop arrest video right now is this lady, it was this, like, older, like, I think she was blonde, but she was this older skinny lady, and she sounded fucking schizophrenic. And she's in a gas station, and she had a gun, supposedly, but they couldn't find it once they were on site. And she was threatening customers to shoot them, or blah, 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 right? And so the cops get there, and they're, like, tuffling with her, they're, like, fighting with her, they're trying to arrest her, but she's fighting hardcore. And they finally get her in cuffs, and they're walking her to the car, and she gets a hold of the cop's gun in his holster and shoots him in the hand. Or hand or leg, I don't remember, but she shoots him. Right?
And the bitch goes down.
And then they're like all on top of her,
10
like
headshots.
knees in the fucking head and all this shit. She's like, "Why are you doing this? What? You just shot a fucking cop, bitch. What do you mean? You're lucky you survived this fucking thing."
That's what I said.
Like, what?
6 shots in you the moment that gun goes off.
No, they didn't shoot her at all. Like, what?
Too nice.
And she's just like, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve what? And then the whole car ride to the station, she's like, I don't understand what I did. What did I do? Like, bitch. Like, not only did you fight the cops through the entire interaction, spitting on them, calling them names, literally brawling with them while they're trying to handcuff you, but you fucking removed one's gun and shot him with it. Like, what do you mean? What did you do to deserve this? Like, you did everything you possibly could have done. Like, you did nothing right from the start. Nothing at all. I don't know. And then you see, I don't know, you just, some videos I see that I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. People are dumb.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. Sorry. I saw a video today of cops having to bring a 5-year-old son home to his mom because she was 4 hours late getting him from school. And when they get the 4 hours, mind you, and when they get the son to her, she's clearly drunk. Like, drunk. Like, this bitch is, I mean, there's like liquid on her shirt, so she clearly like was spilling it on her as drinking. And the cops are like, do you have a son named blah blah blah? Well, the son's standing right there, and she's like, what? And they're like, do you have a son named blah blah blah? And she looks at the kid and she goes, yeah. And she's like, what is this? And they're like, well, the school called us because you're really late picking him up. And she's like, it's 4:11. I'm only 11 minutes late. And the cops are like, what time do you think it is? And she's like, 4:11. And the cop is like, why don't you look at the clock again and tell me what time it is? And she goes, it's 4:11.
Like the cop's gonna be like, oh shit, she's right.
She's right.
My
you
bad.
Know what? We're
Sorry.
wrong. The school was wrong.
Sorry.
Everybody is wrong.
You know what, ma'am?
4:11.
Continue. I'll take him back to the school. You're only 11 minutes late. You're fine.
And then,
just get there when you get there.
Not once during the interactions with the cop does she say anything about how the kid gets home from school on a normal day. Not once does she like say this at all, right?
He doesn't even live with me.
But once the cops end up arresting her because she's so clearly drunk and she's trying to drive now. I don't know why she decided to try to drive.
Because she was only 11 minutes late.
Yeah, because she's trying to pick her kid up from school that's already home. But so now they arrest her and they call DHS because there's nobody else to take the kid. There's no like father in the picture. There's no grandparents that could take it, anything. So they're like,
they all left her.
Yeah. So they call DHS because they're like, we don't know what to do here. You got to come take him because she's getting arrested. And so she's talking to DHS, telling them the story. And she goes, I was only 11 minutes late. And the neighbor called because my kid was at school still. And the cop's like, the neighbor didn't call. The neighbor was helping us out. And she goes, no, the neighbor's the reason this whole thing is happening. And they're like, no, the school called. And she goes, the school wouldn't have called for 11 minutes late. And he's like, because you weren't 11 minutes late. And she just keeps going. And she's like, well, he's a walker. He's supposed to walk home. He's a walker. He's a walker. And I'm just like, yes, your 5-year-old. Your 5-year-old is a walker. I'm sure the school was like, oh yeah, we can just let him walk.
He's a walker.
And even the cop was like, well, the school didn't let him walk, so clearly he's not a walker.
He's a walker.
He's a walker.
Like, okay. He's not even my kid. That's why she was so surprised.
It was that face that got me. I was like, girl, you were so drunk. You just told the cops everything they needed to know by that one interaction. Is your kid so-and-so? That is my kid. What the hell is my kid doing here with the cops? He's only 5.
I thought the cop said I wasn't allowed to see him anymore. Now he's on my doorstep. It's crazy.
I thought DHS already took him away. I don't know.
Damn it, I gotta watch this kid again?
I'm sorry. Addiction is not funny, but stupid people are funny. Stupid people are funny.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. But also...
Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
They're just good videos. They're really good.
Yeah, those are not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about things that make you smile.
But those are things that should make me smile.
It doesn't matter what should make you smile. I'm not dictating what's right and what's wrong to watch. What I'm saying
Why do
is...
I find the worst things so incredibly funny, though?
Probably has to do with a lot of your trauma that you haven't worked through.
Like, why is the funniest thing on the internet to me is models tripping down the runway?
Because it's funny.
Like, why is Noodlefoot so fucking funny to me?
Noodlefoot.
Like, it's literally the funniest thing I've ever seen on the planet Earth.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's so funny to you. Like, I find it, I can't. That's the complete difference between me and you. Is that I can watch comedy special after comedy special, and you'll get bored. And I can do it.
So bored.
I can do it so often because it just constantly makes me laugh. But like,
I can watch a 2-hour.
But four model tripping videos, and I'm like, that's funny. Can we move on?
And I can watch a 2-hour compilation of model stripping, and I'm still laughing, hyperventilating.
Yeah, continuously laughing. I don't know.
It's just like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
Maybe it's just a different. I don't know. Maybe it's just a different part of the brain. I don't know.
It's watching Scarred too much as a kid.
Probably.
I'm watching these ladies break their ankles, and I'm like,
oh, dude, I was thinking today when Alice was talking about the video or whatever, when you guys were out there talking to Tiffany, when she was talking about the skateboard video, the guy that broke his arm.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking to myself when she said it, I was like, do you know how many videos, skate videos specifically, we watched with people like with blood all over their face or like broken limbs or like
what happened, bro?
That was my entire childhood was like bootleg skate videos of just people just like,
is that my teeth?
Is that my teeth? or the shoe. The shoe is the one that got me when they would try to gap the stairs and they would like twist their ankle, but their shoe would go phew. Those are my favorite. Anyway.
Some of them will make me nauseous. But
like,
most of the time I'd be like, oh.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about things that actually make you laugh. I'm talking about like just like things that like you can choose to like skip over, but instead you're like, I don't have a good example that's not going to be
where like I'm watching where I'm watching because I do it a lot, because I'll find like videos where a guy says something that's really like inappropriate or like a red flag, and instead of just skipping the video and being like, whatever, this guy is a douche, I go to the comments to see if anybody else has said anything about how fucked up this guy is, and then in the comments I see 100 other guys defending this guy being a fucking douche. And I'm like, ew. Why is there so many of you?
And then, because she spent so much time on that video, her algorithm makes a whole bunch more of them. It's like, you want
douche guy videos. And I'm like, I really don't
know. And then she spends like 2 weeks being angry at men because
my algorithm keeps throwing it at me.
Because she decided to spend 10 minutes on a video reading comments. Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Because my Facebook is full of women saying why they chose the bear and men saying why they shouldn't choose the bear. And I'm like,
yeah, but it's that stuff is what I'm talking. That stuff is what I'm talking about. It's the choice is what I was talking about. Like I do it all the time, and there are times that like I'm on my phone and scrolling through stuff that you'll like stop me. You'll be like, oh, what does that say? And I didn't even have the thought of stopping on that fucking thing because I was like, not interesting to me.
Don't care.
Don't care. But like you, and I've said this before.
My problem is I'm interested in every single video passes through.
That's what I was just going to say.
Like, I'm like, if it's not an ad, I'm watching the video.
You do not have that. And I think that's why sometimes you get stuck in those loops, is because I do. I am very like, I don't even...
Well, also, to be fair, though, sometimes I'll be on the toilet watching videos and I'll be scrolling through or whatever. And then instead of turning the phone off or exiting Facebook, I just leave that video on the side of the toilet on a loop. So it'll be like a dumb video that I'm not have any interest in whatsoever, but I just played it 20 times while I was wiping my ass.
But like
So, I mean, that's not really fair.
Yeah. But that's a very small percentage of why you're stuck in that loop.
No, it happens all the time.
Well, yeah, but also you choose to look at every single post and video, so that also does not help.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, and again, I'm not saying that I'm like, you should do things my way and whatever. I was just saying there's something to be said about not, because I don't, for the most part, I don't even let things like that, especially social media wise, like in my life.
Yeah.
At all. Like if it's like there are some
reading the comments is where you get trapped because the video is still playing in the background behind the comments, and
even one of my friends that posts a lot of negative things, but even some of those, like if I read like 2-3 words of it and I'm like, no, I don't, like if it's about like politics or like things like that, I'll be like, no, It may be funny, but I'm sure it is, given the person that posted it. But like, I just don't do it.
Huh.
And I think there's something, and I'm not saying like everybody has to do that, but I'm saying that there is something to be said about letting those things into your life, because I feel like it plays into a lot of other things.
Well, you know
feel
what?
Like,
some
like
people
you,
would say.
like
Some people
you,
would say that you don't get to have a say in politics because you're uneducated, because you refuse to think about it or talk about it or let it into your life.
Also, why I don't vote. That exact reason. I said a long time ago I wasn't going to vote if I don't know enough, and I don't care to know enough. So, and you can yell at me for not.
How do you expect the world to be better for your children?
Okay, hold on. Time out.
You don't.
Can we just address this real quick? We're all old enough, okay? We've all lived in the same United States. Can we really get over the your vote matters?
Because it doesn't.
It matters. It matters in state policies. It matters in those things. I fully believe that. It matters in your state and policies and stuff like that.
But that's the thing.
But if you're talking about the presidential election, don't fucking talk to me about my vote matters. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I haven't voted for fucking 7 years now, and it's still played out the same way as it would have if I would have voted or not. Doesn't matter.
To be fair, though, your vote does count, just not in a way that people think it does.
Yeah.
Your vote counts as in what you're voting throughout the rest of the time.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Like when you're voting the people in for your state and your county.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was saying.
Those votes.
County and state
matter.
Things matter. But I'm talking like for the presidential election and stuff like that.
No, because that's based on who you already voted in for your state and your county and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, if enough of you vote one way, can you change that vote? Yes. But the fact that most of you voted for these people into your state in the first place, are you actually going to be able to change that vote? Probably fucking not.
Yeah.
Like if you have a Republican governor, more than likely your state is going to be Republican.
No matter how you vote, that's how that's going to turn out.
It's just how it is, and the vice versa. If your state governor is Democratic, more than likely the state vote for president is going to be Democratic.
I was going to say something and I totally forgot. Before you said the vote thing.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I knew what I wanted to. I knew what I wanted to move into.
People will be upset about how I'm touching that microphone.
I know. It's fine. It's fine.
Is it?
Yeah, because one of these days you're gonna realize it's not plugged in anything. It's just for like.
It will be plugged in eventually, though.
Eventually, yes.
And then people are gonna be really upset about how I touch it.
When it's gonna we're gonna for real though. When this actually works. Yeah, when this actually works, because I have another one, so we can have both of them.
Mm-hmm.
When I can actually plug this in and this works, I feel like it's going to be so annoying for people because you're going to get this. Like every other microphone, you're going to have every little sound. Like these, for the most part, like you can't really hear like breathing or like mouth noises. Me. Okay, regardless, these you really can't like hear that a whole lot.
Now you're making me super self-conscious about the little noises.
You can't hear anything, actually. I said that about you burping like 3 episodes ago when you were like, oh, I burped. I was like, they're not even going to be able to hear that. And they didn't. I watched. You can't even hear it. I saw you do it. I saw us talk about it. But you can't hear it. But yeah. But that's going to be the thing. Because that is what bothers me about podcasts for the most part. Joe Rogan is a big one because he smokes weed on there. So he gets cotton mouth. So halfway... No, I'm dead serious. Watch any Joe Rogan podcast for the last like 2 years. Any of them, doesn't matter. But he'll get cottonmouth like halfway through the podcast, and that's all you'll hear. It's just like as he's talking. It's so fucking.
Just like I told my mother on the phone yesterday, you don't have to show me the noise.
So fucking.
I know what the noise is.
So funny. They don't.
Oh, I bet they do.
Bet they do.
I bet they know it. I bet they know it real well.
Anyway, so yeah. But that was my point. I just think that I think people should be not like super highly conscious about it, because like you can like like I said, if it makes you laugh and like you enjoy it, or like even your crochet videos that are like not, I shouldn't say not stimulating, but like, you know what I mean? Like if it's something you enjoy, then fine. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about people that spin out in that rabbit hole of like being angry and being upset and like constantly having that. Like it does affect, oh, that's what I was going to say. It does affect how you perceive the rest of your world. Like when me and you have even talked about it, when you have been in, especially the woman's right around that time, where they were going to do.
Okay, but that's not fair because I was also watching Handmaid's Tale, and Handmaid's Tale is what was causing me to be upset, not the women's rights thing.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that's my point, though, as a reference for you, is that when you get down that rabbit hole and stuck in that, your whole world turns into that mindset. Whereas, like, when you were already in that mindset, whether or not you felt some kind of way about me or like whatever, it turned into that because that's the headspace you were in already. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was getting at, is that I feel like people that are stuck in
when I was watching Handmaid's Tale, all men sucked.
Yeah.
All men fucking sucked. All of them. All of them were the absolute fucking worst.
For what it's worth, most men suck anyway.
To be fair, don't watch that show. It is way too realistic. In a non-realistic way.
We can do a whole we can do a whole thing about
it's that. Aggressively correct.
Aggressively correct.
In a sci-fi way. I don't know how to explain that because like it's if the world were to come to that is exactly how it would play out. Like to a T. Now it's your boobies in it.
That's how we get the views. Me in the gray sweatpants. Anyway, my other thing though, because I thought of this last time, and then it was really funny that Alice brought it up after we got done doing it. But I wanted to ask you if you, I don't know, we were watching something. Anyway, no, we were watching Saturday Night Live. Anyway, I was wondering if you ever like had a problem sleeping over at people's houses, or like you made an excuse to leave like sleepovers and stuff. Okay. Like when you were younger.
I've never made an excuse
because I have a story
to leave a sleepover, but I have had excuses to leave sleepovers. I've never made one for any other reason than what I left for. But I did used to have such bad anxiety about my parents dying when I was at sleepovers that I would end up having to go home.
I like how you said that with your eyes, like that's not like a now thing. Like you were looking back on younger you, being like, that was dumb for you to ever think that.
Well, it's not that it was dumb for me to think that. I just don't understand where that came from. Like I can't think of any trauma in my past that would cause me to feel that way.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, but I would just get this overwhelming feeling that something was wrong.
Or something bad was going to happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then my brain would just go. And because most of the time I was spending the night at someone else's house was the time my parents would go out, because I was an only child. So whenever my parents were able to get rid of me, they took advantage of that. And because of that, I knew they were out, and I knew they were like drinking and all that. And even at really young ages, like 6, I was like, oh my God, they're going to die. Like, like that's the bad thing that's happening. Whatever this feeling is, that's the bad thing. But I also was just, I don't know. But sometimes I also had like really high anxiety about not wanting to sleep at people's houses, but feeling bad about not wanting to be there. So I would stay anyways for no fucking reason.
That was
No. And there's times where I've literally been so scared to even ask for a blanket that I've slept underneath the cushions of couches because I didn't want to have to go ask for a blanket, but I was freezing.
There was a time I was not like that. I had and I don't know where there has to be a thing outside of this. There has to be a thing.
Something with our generation, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something about our generation.
Yeah. because I've
had other friends who felt the same way.
I had super high anxiety just not being, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a like feeling comfortable thing, but even with my best friend at the time, even with my best friend at the time, which I showed you his house when we went to Davenport, is not far from my house.
Yeah.
It's like 4 blocks from my house. It's not that far. And even when I would go over to his house, the first like four or 5 times I tried to sleep at his house, I would just the moment that he said that he was like going to go to sleep, I wouldn't think about it at all until he was going to go to sleep.
Until people were asleep. And then you just can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, and then I was like, I don't want to be here. Yeah. I don't want to be here. I want to be home. Like,
and it would be such a strong, overwhelming feeling that I would call my, you couldn't stop it.
Yeah, there were times that the first 4 or 5 times I called my dad and I was like, hey, can you come get me? And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there's times where I'd be like laying in the bed or on the couch just like
sobbing. I don't know, I don't remember.
Because I wanted to go home.
But I never gave a reason. I was just like, I gotta go home. like it was never like my dad's making me go home, or like that video where like they show up and
the
give all the
excuses.
Yeah, it was never like that. It was I'm sure my dad gave some sort of reason to their parents.
Yeah.
But like to my friend, I never fucking
and we asked Alice if she's never felt that way, because we were talking about it when we were watching Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, I've never experienced that." And I was like, "Oh, well." But also, I didn't let Alice go and do sleepovers as early as we would.
True.
Like, she wasn't as young. Well, she was really young when she started sleepovers, but that was with the neighbor. It wasn't like
it was literally across the street.
Yeah.
It was.
And
she could have like skipped twice and been in her door. She didn't do
actual sleepovers away from the house until I don't know, like what, like. Oh, almost 9, yeah. Because that's when she started hanging out with that. I don't want to say names, but
yeah. It was pretty close. It's like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's way older than I was when I did my first sleepover.
For sure.
So.
But yeah, I was because you had mentioned that when we were watching that, and I was like, I've felt that way. What?
Yeah, something. I got it. It was just bothering me.
But like I've felt that way at sleepovers, and it's just weird because it wasn't anything like luckily, like my best friend specifically, and I spent the night at his house a lot, but his parents were great. Like there's nothing about his parents that I even looking back on it that I'm like, oh, that may be like they had like a vicious dog, or like their sister was really mean, or like there was nothing about that situation that looking back on it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense of why I wanted to be there. It was exactly like you said. It was just an immediate, like an overwhelming, like I can't be here. I don't want to be here. I need to be home. Like it's just weird.
If I don't go home right now, something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've just never. I guess I've never really talked about that with anybody else, but also I've never really heard anybody say that.
Maybe it's just me and you.
It's possible.
Maybe it's our.
There's a lot of similarities between me and you, anyways. Maybe.
Maybe the universe was like, this isn't how you guys need to find each other, and you're not finding each other. And when we weren't distracted by other people, that's when we would get that overwhelming feeling of like, we're not found him yet. We need to find them.
It's possible.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying.
Crazy.
Okay. We're just crazy, then. Whatever.
Coming from the girl who tracked down her Nana today.
That's fine. I was going to talk to you about. Well, you talked to my sister about that. I won't say specifically unless you want to, but
you can.
As far as like that feeling, because it kind of ties into the sleepover thing, and I've said this, that I've had this thing throughout most of my life where I've been very like in tuned in whether I listen to it or not. Very like, oh, my whatever you want to call it, energy is telling me something.
Yeah.
And I've done it with multiple people, like, and especially with my dreams, because It's the same feeling. I attribute it to the same feeling as the sleepover thing. Is that like that overwhelming?
Yeah, it comes from the same place. I don't know how to explain that, but it feels like it comes from the same spot of like my innerness.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how to. Yeah.
Like like your body knows something that you don't. Yeah. And like there have been multiple times where like I've had dreams about other people and not necessarily, and I've gotten more in tune with it over the years, but where like I'll have a dream about somebody or whatever, and it doesn't even matter if it's negative, but like I'll wake up and I'll be like, I should at least like see if they're okay, or like see what happened, or like whatever.
I wonder what.
Which isn't. You can believe that. You can believe it or not believe it that it's a thing. It doesn't matter. It's not a negative thing. It's not like a crazy thing. What hurts with saying hi to somebody? Hey, are you okay?
Well, it is a little strange if it's someone that you don't want to talk to or have communication with, but now because you've had a dream about them, now you want to know if they're okay. Like, but I also can't let it go until I know if they're okay.
Yeah.
So do I message them? I really don't want to message them. Do I call them? I really don't want to call them. Because if I do, I'm starting a conversation that I don't want to have.
There's a thing. I wish I could remember it. I said this to my sister a couple months ago. There's a thing that people were talking about that really interests me, and I haven't really looked into it all that much, mainly because I haven't had the time, but it does interest me, is that our brains have a higher consciousness than we do.
Mm-hmm.
And our brains are, I can't remember how they worded it. Our brains are in tune with wavelengths outside, like in the universe. So that when something like that, like when something is off on your track, your brain triggers it, and it doesn't know how to. It basically doesn't know how to speak your language. It doesn't know how to tell you what specifically that is. So it just gives you some sort of alarm bell that you'll recognize to start changing something or notice something or whatever.
Yeah.
To acknowledge the fact that something's off.
So I'll have to explain what happened to explain why I think it actually happened versus what the world wants to tell me. I'm a fortune teller.
Never mind. I have a story after you're done.
I don't think I am, but
okay.
Everyone can believe what they want.
That's fine.
Anyways,
that's fine. I'm allowed to believe what I want.
Last night I had a dream that my grandmother, we call her Nana, that she, well, in my dream she got shot, but I don't think the shot part was the important part. I think it was that her hip got shattered, her pelvic got shattered, and it cut her artery and caused her to bleed out inside of herself, and she was dying, and we couldn't do anything about it because we were on a cruise ship. So we couldn't do anything about her dying. And she didn't actually die in my dream because I woke up before that point, or I was not
because you're good at
near her while she did it. I don't know, but so she didn't actually die in my dream, but she was dying.
Yeah.
And when I woke up this morning, I messaged my mom and was like, "Hey, have you heard from Nana lately?" And I just kind of let it go for a while, but then like as the day went by, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I was like, "Hey, mom, you there?" And then I like try to call my mom, and her phone is off. And I try to call the house phone, and they don't have a house phone anymore, which is like new news because they've had the same house phone number my entire life of knowing my stepdad. So that's a long time of having the same fucking number.
Also, her stepdad maintained that they needed to keep that house phone.
That number is the only one I have memorized. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't have a phone. Because there has been times where I've been in situations where I have had to call that number and ask them for his number or ask them for someone else's number. Because I don't know any other phone numbers. So now I have no fucking clue what I'm going to do if I'm ever stranded or stuck.
First world problems.
Right?
I can't
cell phone issues.
Cell phone numbers.
So Yeah, so that's a whole crazy thing. And now I'm like, what the fuck? I can't get a hold of anybody, which usually I can get a hold of my mom all the time like that, no problem. And they've never not had a household phone, and there's always someone home, usually. So I'm like, I didn't get anybody today. And then I finally broke down and messaged my Nana, which I don't like to talk to her at all. That's a whole different story. There's a lot of like trauma and stuff behind my and her relationship, and I'm not a big fan, but
It's justified. Don't judge. Anyway.
If you've met her, you know.
Well, not like that. Just if you met her, you know.
You try to get it a little.
Anyway.
But so I finally broke down and I just messaged her, but I messaged her back about. I didn't message her asking if she's like okay or how are you. I just
how's your hip?
Last night before I went to bed, she messaged me about sending me a locket, and she told me a story about the locket in the text message. Yes, it was a long text message. So I just sent her back.
Okay.
I sent her back. That's nice, Nana. That's a very cool story. To see if I could get a response, and I got nothing, and I was like, I literally opened the door for this woman to talk to me, which I don't ever do, and every time I do, she immediately runs in, and I'm getting nothing. So now I'm freaking the fuck out. And I finally get my mom, and I'm like, have you talked to Nana today? And this is like late in the day. And I'm like, have you talked to Nana today? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh, maybe you should. She's like,
because I'm freaking out over here.
I'm trying to keep cool. And she's like, why? And I was like, I just, I had a weird dream last night that she died.
No big deal. If you just want to check in on her.
I was dying.
It's not a big deal.
And she's like, what? And so I told her, and my mom's very into the idea that I know things. Like, I have, like, some sort of ability that I'm not tapped into.
I don't understand. Never mind. We can talk about that after. Sorry, finish your story first.
And so right away, she's like, well, I'll call her. And she got a hold of her. She was just in Costco. That's why she didn't. Nana was in Costco.
For 4 hours.
That's why, probably. That's why she didn't respond to my message. So, she's fine. Her hip's fine.
I don't understand why you're so against that.
She is in her 80s, so it's probably... Oh, but that's what I was going to say. I think the real reason why I had that dream and felt that way was because in that message she sent me last night, she said, I'm going to send you this locket, so if anything happens to me, you know it's supposed to belong to you, and it doesn't become a fight along with other people about where it's supposed to go. Yeah. And I was like, okay. Because she does this like every couple of years where she just sends like a bunch of her junk to... I'm not saying that what she's going to send is junk, because what she's sending this time isn't junk, but she normally sends a bunch of her junk to random family members and is like, I want you to have this before something happens.
And it's like a broken snow globe and shit. Like that black one that she sent. She
didn't send that. We found that in the closet. That's one Dad's been hanging on to for years.
I thought that was one she said.
No, that's one that Dad has been hanging on to from when we moved to Nevada from Michigan. Huh. So that one's been being hung on to since I was 9 years old.
Crazy. It's black. The inside is black.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened.
The snow globe is black.
There must be a crack or something in it. There's still water in it. I still have it. It's in this garage somewhere.
Yeah.
There's still liquid in it. It's not dripping from anywhere, but somehow some sort of bacteria or something got inside of it because you cannot see the thing inside anymore.
Yeah, it's just black water.
It's just black water.
Pretty cool.
Which is crazy because the other snow globes that were from the same time period, they're all fine. It's just this one.
Wouldn't it be funny? I mean, obviously you would have to break it open to find, but wouldn't it be funny if that specific snow globe, like you got all the water out and it was like a graveyard? Like the inside, like the actual snow globe part?
It's not. Because it's the Peter Rabbit Cottontail one.
I know, but I think it would be. I
know funny. What was in that snow globe. I've played it a lot as a kid.
I think it would be funny if it was like, I wonder what's in here. And it's just like
I'm wondering if maybe some of the paint or something, like maybe
Probably.
it was some sort of like lead paint or something that like I don't know.
So anyway, I don't understand why you don't like. Is it because you don't want to believe that part of it, or is it because like I don't get it?
Maybe
I don't understand how you are so okay. Time out. I don't understand how you are so like with your grandmother. Like you're so like, yeah, that was a part of her. That was really great, and that was awesome of her to like embrace that part of her or whatever. But then with you, you're like, no, that can't be a thing. Like I don't get it.
Do you want me to get real with you on the podcast? Do you want me to tell you some
Hold
shit
on.
that I've never told you before?
Hold on. Sure. Does it scare you?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Do you want me to let you know why?
That makes sense. Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So I've always kind of been a little scared of like the idea of like not ghosts necessarily, but like demonic versions. And I've always kind of I grew up Lutheran and Christian, and like Lutheran is Christian, but I grew up in these ways.
Yeah.
And what you're taught is that there are no ghosts, they're actually demons. And I also grew up with women in my life who've claimed to be witches. I have seen things that are unexplainable. I don't know if I believe in it, but I have also had experiences of my own that are unexplainable, that are extremely fucking scary. And I don't think I've had, from the moment, because when I was younger, I was like, yeah, because my mom used to tell me all the time, like, Cheryl, honestly, I think you have the gift of fortune telling and this and that. And my grandma used to say it too. And like, when I was younger, I was like, yeah, and I gripped onto that. And I was like, yeah, I definitely do. Like, those sleepover experiences, those were scary for me. Because if I am a fortune teller, what's happening to my fucking parents right now? Or what am I missing? What's happening to who? Like, what am I not tapping into? Who's getting hurt right now? And I can't do anything about it. I can't even say who it is. And then on top of that, like, you know, I've watched them do things. I've watched my mom do things, like talk to spirits and stuff, and like my grandma dabble in some stuff. And it's always kind of just scared me a little bit. But then as I got older and was still like, yeah, I'm, you know, I come from a long line of like gypsies, because I do, and like, you know, witchy ladies.
Good band name.
The more I accept it, the scarier things happen to me. And I don't like that. I don't know why. And if it's not real and it's just my brain letting those things in, why is it always so negative and so scary? And if it is real, why am I only ever letting the negative things in? Why can I never see the good, cool things? Why am I never seeing the good experiences? Why do I not get to feel or appreciate the good spirits? Why is it always the scary ones? Why is it always the mean ones? Why am I always being haunted?
Targeted?
Yeah. And so I've learned through time that the more I deny it in myself, the less I'm bothered by it.
Well, that's not that I'm telling you should. It's not what I was trying to say.
I like to deny it. Because
I wasn't trying.
If I don't deny it, I'm scared of my fucking mind.
Well, I'm sorry.
And I don't know if it's because I'm crazy.
Well,
or if because I actually have these abilities and only mean people want to talk to me.
Well, I'm gonna not make you feel better, but I'm sorry that you married me. I'm sorry, because I don't help that either. Because I feel the opposite.
Yes, and he brings pentagrams into my house.
I'm sorry.
And he And my daughter wears a Ouija board sweatshirt.
Okay, but that that's that's
no,
that's different.
I agree.
Don't put that on me.
That freaks me the fuck out.
No, don't put that on me. No, but I have said, and over time, and I've talked to my sister about this.
Yeah.
That there are things that I have just, like you said, but on the opposite end, there are things that I've embraced throughout my life that I know are things. Like, I've told you this, like my premonitionic dreams.
Mm-hmm.
They are very realistic and they do happen. Like, and I know that those things happen.
Yeah.
And like energy and like things like that. Like, I feel that and believe that. And
and it's not just the women in my life. The men on my dad's side too are all very premoninistic.
Yeah.
Like my dad will tell you that he knows how he's gonna die.
Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, but like I have embraced that part of me because I understand that it's a real thing. Like if it wasn't a realistic thing, I probably would have dismissed it a long time ago. But also to your same point, and I've said this to my sister, also I've learned over time, you also, the same thing I was saying about the social media thing, you also have to be very cautious about what you let into your life, too.
I guess you're right. I guess it hasn't always been bad because I do get deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said that, I've always told you from the moment we've talked about deja vu that just means you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. That your soul is basically met up with.
If you're having deja vu, you're exactly where you're supposed to be in your timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is. It's just other timelines of you seeing what you're seeing. Like you're just getting, yeah.
But I talked about this story with my sister a long time ago, and my mom probably will know this story because I told her. But there was a time, and I'm not really going to talk about the witchy side of it.
The back history.
That I believe in, because there's a whole. We don't have time for that part of it, but we probably will. I'm honestly trying to get my sister to actually talk about it with me on here at some point because I would like to talk about it at some point. But anyway, there was a time that I was like, I connected all the dots, and I was like, so I have this thing in me that's like different, and my mom had mentioned something about tarot cards and tarot reading, and at some point, and I was like, I remember at the time that I was like, well, I want to learn about this first before I just like do it, right?
I think that was one of the scariest things my grandma has ever done to me.
This is the point I'm getting at, is that, but I wanted to learn like how it worked and like stuff like that because I understood the heaviness of like the moment. I can't explain it. The moment my mom even mentioned that to me, because I started like talking to her about these things and like the witchy stuff and like premoninistic people in our family and like stuff like that, that I talked to her about that. The moment she mentioned that, I had an overwhelming, it was like somebody like dropped concrete in my body. Like it was just like instant like heaviness, like emotional heaviness. And so because I felt that way, I was like, well, if I want to even try this, I want to like learn about it first. And so I did. So there was this book I bought, and I read all about it, but like towards the end of reading about it, that heaviness felt wrong. Like it felt, you know what I mean? Like kind of like
those videos I pass fast.
It's not a,
just so you know.
It's not
about me watching every video. The minute I see tarot cards,
it's not a good comparison, but it's like when you cheat on your spouse and you feel bad about it, but you still do it. Like it was that kind of feel. It just felt wrong. Like the whole thing just felt wrong. And so I never did. And I never did tarot cards. I still to this day refuse to. I just don't, because it just feels, and going back to my point about letting certain things into your life, I knew that like I just don't even want Like, I don't even want to mess with that. Like, I don't even want that anywhere in here.
Yeah.
But also, like I've said to my sister, there are things about that I feel like me embracing it helps a lot with me specifically. Because I don't know, I just feel more. I've said that to you about my whole mentality about that whole thing, about the witchy stuff and whatever. I feel like there's a positive side to all of that. And I choose to focus and embrace more of that.
I don't know. I guess all of it just freaks me out so much that
it's fine. I'm not saying like you're married to me, so you have to like figure it out.
Because even the positive side of things, I don't even believe they're real. Like, okay, so I've told you about Grandma going to the fortune teller.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't time out. You don't believe that's real?
Just
sorry.
Just listen.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
I'm so skeptical.
Sorry.
I'm so skeptical.
Okay.
Anyways, I told you about Grandma going to the fortune teller, and it was only like a little while before she got put into the nursing home that she did that, right? And she went to a fortune teller, and it was an angelic fortune teller. I'm sorry, I don't. If you believe in it, you believe in it. I'm just really skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And
not to be confused with septic.
She, don't get me wrong, I've listened to my grandma recorded the whole conversation. And so I've listened to the tape because I found it recently, actually.
It made you cry.
Before we moved in here, yeah. And, well, a lot of what made me cry, though, was more so what Grandma was saying about certain things. Like, her hoping that Uncle Mike shows up to Christmas and stuff like that. And I'm just like, God, I wish I could show any of these guys
this, because they might have actually got it.
No. I just like even now.
Yeah.
As you can let her go kind of way, but they're all gone. All of them. They're all gone. Like the only one I could show is my dad, but he doesn't like it wasn't like a needed thing for him, you know. And I'm just like, fuck, like.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Anyways, but and don't get me wrong. There's things that the fortune teller says in that thing that I'm like, well, spookily correct. Like, but also my grandma kind of was like giving a lot of shit away.
Yeah. Too.
So I was like, I'm skeptical about all that shit. Like, anytime I watched that median lady, I was like, they just told her that. They literally just told her that. Like, anyone could have guessed that your mom's name was Mary. Half of fucking population was named Mary.
Or that your middle name is Lynn.
Marie. Do you know anyone with the middle name Marie? Yeah. I actually have 5 dead relatives with the middle name Marie.
It'd be even better if they double down. Do you know somebody with the middle name Marie or Lynn?
Or Lynn? I'm getting a Marie or a Lynn.
Damn.
Wow,
anyway.
She knows the whole crowd. Anyways.
There's a guy in the back of the bar. But this lady
sent home. I'm so skeptical about this shit. Anyways, this lady sent home a pack of tarot cards for my grandma to give to me for me to be able to read with them. Because I was closed off. That's what she said when my grandma asked about me. The lady in the recording, this was spooky for me.
But I like your response to this. Sure was.
Sure the fuck was. When my grandma asked about me, the lady goes, I can't see her. She's really closed off. She's really actively trying to keep me away from her, and she's very closed off. And I was like,
sure the fuck am.
Yes, ma'am. You ain't getting in here. Go the fuck away. But yeah, so she brought home these tarot cards that were angelic tarot cards. I did not touch them. Nah, I didn't even touch them. We didn't touch them. I was like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Well, me and to this point,
I don't believe because you put different photos on a tarot card meant that they're angelic now.
To your point, though, I will never, for you, be like, well, come on, you should figure it out. You should.
That's like grabbing a deck of cards.
You should be into it. You should just open yourself. I'll never do that because
That's like getting the 2-pack of bicycle cards, the red pack and the blue pack.
And being like, well, I gave you the blue pack.
The blue pack is my lucky pack. Your lucky pack? They're the same deck. But no. The blue pack is my lucky pack. Oh, okay.
But for the same reason as, and I've said this to me and my sister have talked about this a lot, and I've said this to her. For that same reason, I would never. Not that I would anyway, because that's not the type of husband I am. But I would never be like, come on, you need to believe this. You need to like let this in or whatever. Regardless of whether I think that about you or not. Like, it's you. So you cannot believe in it all you want. It's fine. And it's actually better.
And like also, like I've said about other things that aren't like this, like pain and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know my experiences.
Yeah.
Like we haven't talked in depth about that stuff because I feel weird about it. Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't know if it's real or not, so I feel schizophrenic about some of the things I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And because I try to so actively rally against any of this being real,
mm-hmm.
it makes me feel like some of the experiences I've had
weren't real,
are a little crazy, like literally nuts. Like. And I've told you one of them. I've told you about me biting my tongue. And that scares the shit out of me. Because, one, if it was a spirit, what the fuck? How are they able to do that shit? That's not safe or cool or fun. And also, if I'm crazy, then I'm not safe to myself.
Yeah.
Because I almost bit my fucking tongue off. So, like, no.
But, like...
Not cool. Don't want to be a part of that.
Not into it. Nope. Which I'll say this before I get to my point that I was going to make, though. But I really appreciate that about you, though. That you're not, like, for the most part, you have a couple things that you're like, no, not in my house, ever. Nope.
Yeah, Ouija boards. Absolutely fucking not.
But for the most part, like, even conversations that we've had and stuff that you know that I believe and feel about myself and about my entire bloodline. But you've never been like, regardless of whether you accept that about you, you've never been like, no. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we've never had that argument or conversation of like, yeah, okay.
Well, that's the thing. Just because I'm actively like skeptic of it, because I choose to be. It's not even that I can prove that it's not real. If anything, I have all the proof in the world that it is real, but I choose to be skeptic because my life is more peaceful.
If you choose that way.
If I choose to be skeptic.
Whereas on the opposite end, my life is more peaceful if I choose to embrace those parts. Like,
and that's perfectly fine. You're a whole different human being.
Like the premonition dreams, like things like that, I'm more at peace knowing that if I have one of those and I wake up and I'm like, hey, are you all right? Or like, hey, how's your day going? Or like, whatever. I'm more at peace having that than just like dismissing it and being like,
oh, no, but that's the thing. That's the one thing that I do have to do because my brain will not let it go. And that's what I was saying. Out of all the shit that I push off and be like, no, that's not a thing. We're not doing that. That's the one thing that my dreams, I cannot let those go. There are times where they are so like it's telling me something. And it's a feeling, like we explained, it's a feeling so deep in there, like that something's going to happen. I need to go home feeling that I cannot let it go until I find out if everything's okay. If what is happening is not happening, correct? Like this is not happening right now, right?
I've said this before, and this kind of ties in. I won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but this kind of ties into your fear of like when you were in sleepovers or whatever. But I always tied it into, and maybe part of that is anxiety or whatever, but because I've embraced that part of me, I've always thought about like, okay, but what if I ignore it? Like, what if...
Yeah, what if I ignore it and this is the time...
Yeah.
...that they get in the car crash on the way home?
Yeah, it's kind of like...
This is the time...
It's kind of like...
...that they get shot at the bar.
It's kind of like you know, my mom instilling in all of us, like, say I love you before you leave, because you don't know, like, what's going to happen.
Yep.
Like, what if that is the time where you're like, nah, it's only like 2 blocks down the street. Like, it's fine. I'll fucking talk to you in the morning or whatever. And that happens to be like the time that something.
I have that so instilled.
But
that like if I leave without saying goodbye to you and all 3 of the children, I think about it for the rest of the time I'm gone.
There have been times where I've been at work and I've messaged you. I've messaged you I love you, because normally I message you when I get to work. If not, hey, I'm here, I'll message you like I love you to let you know that I got to work. But there are times that like I get there late or I forget or whatever.
Yeah, and you don't. Yeah.
But like I'll think about it all the way up until my first break, and then like I'll make sure to be like, hey, how are you doing? Like,
please respond so I know you're still alive.
Yeah, but like just things like that. But going back to like you like actively like trying not to have that stuff in your life. There's a story that I talked to my sister about this. We talked about a lot of other things that has to do with this, but this was a point that I made. I feel like I made a choice a long time ago to embrace the positive side of that part of me. In that moment of my mom giving me the tarot cards, I felt the weight of that, and I went, I don't want that. I don't want that feeling anymore. Whereas my sister, in different ways, chose the opposite. She chose to embrace that and put that into her life. And that hasn't worked, it's not a negative thing. I'm not saying like it put her down a bad path and whatever. I'm just saying like
I didn't take my Wyatt nap today. I'm
just saying those choices I feel like are still good. I feel like those are good choices. Like me choosing not to let that part of things into my life, I feel like was my choice. Whereas your choice to totally disregard and push that out of your life for whatever reason, whether that's your own sanity or whatever, is still a positive decision and still should be like, you know what I mean? Like still should be a positive decision and not like I don't know.
You want to hear something nuts?
Sure.
Even us talking about this so much right now, like even this conversation right here, because we've talked about it so long now at this point, like from when we started talking to now, which isn't very long, but it feels like long. My chest is tight and I feel a strong presence of.
Also, this is why we don't talk about it.
Bad.
This is why we don't talk about it.
Yeah, this is why I don't talk about it. This is why I go, I don't know, I just don't like it. And I just punt it off.
Maybe that.
And when other people want to talk about it, I'm like, oh, no, I just don't. I'm not into it.
Maybe that we'll stop talking about it. I have, if you want, I don't know what time we're at.
We're past an hour.
Oh, shit, we are past an hour. Okay, well, then we'll stop. I won't talk about it anymore. But maybe that's the different sides of me and you. Maybe I got all of the positivity. That's how our soul comes together.
That's why I have so much bad
because I have so much good. Yeah.
How fucked up is that? You're telling me. Wait. So if we're going by the twin soul theory,
that's what I'm saying.
And that we were one singular soul that got split in half.
You got the bad side.
We didn't get half and half of everything.
Nope.
I got all the bad and you got all the good.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Sorry.
Glad I found you.
Hey, I didn't make it. You got it.
How do you know? How do you know you weren't the one who split us?
That's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different conversation because there's a theory about that too.
About what split us? I thought that was natural. I thought it was natural beings that split the soul.
It was natural beings that split.
Because that's how you regenerate life after life. Because you're supposed to keep. You don't. When you die, your soul gets to come back until you find your twin.
Mm-hmm. And then that's the last time.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. So this is it for us.
I don't know. So I said that when we talked about the twin souls on the last time. I was like, this is it. This is the one. This is the one where it works.
I've believed my whole life in reincarnation, and now you're ruining that for me.
Sorry.
Because this is the life that I've believed in reincarnation.
I said, okay, no, we're gonna, okay.
And now I'm not gonna get reincarnated.
Time out. I'm gonna put this on there. We're gonna talk about this the next time. we are gonna talk about this the next time, whether you want to or not, because there's a thing. No, because there's a thing about that's why we have memories and feelings that are not connected to
anything that happened in this life.
Yeah. Is because we still have memories and feelings and things from past lives when we tried to do this before.
Yeah.
That's why certain people in our life that have energy, that even like people at stores or whatever.
Or some people look familiar that aren't familiar. We're like, we've never seen that person before. That's weird.
Yeah. Is because we've done this already, but it didn't work this way. Yeah. We are going to talk about that the next time. I'm putting that down on the notes. It's going to happen. It's going to be fun. Anyway.
People are going to be like, she doesn't believe in all this other witchy shit, but she believes in twin souls? I didn't believe in it until I found it. And now I'm like, well, what else describes this? I don't understand what is happening.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry I fucked your life up so much.
I didn't believe in soulmates and twin souls
I know. Real life, though, I fucked up your world so much because you
turned everything upside down.
I'm serious. All the stuff that you were like, I don't want this in my life. I was like, too fucking bad. Twin souls, spirits. You want to talk about witchy stuff? Too bad. You gotta.
I even dipped out on church because of demons, sir.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell it anyway. I have a story about that though. About being overwhelmed with the pain of all of my friends because I asked for it. That was not fun.
All right.
That was my proof. That was okay. So
this is where you guys get to look at Cheryl and be like, wow, she's a really good actress because she doesn't believe a fucking thing her husband is saying right now, but she is going to encourage him.
She's going to be so supportive. It's great. No, but for real though. So I needed proof. I needed proof. I had asked for proof of like spirits, which like dumb idea. Don't do that. I'm just for anybody watching that's like that might be a good. Don't. But I was like, whatever. That doesn't. So I was like, fucking prove it. So I sat in a corner for 3 hours, feeling all of the emotional and physical pain of all of my friends. Not fun.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, got it. You're real. Fine.
You're real. All right, I got it. Thank you.
Fucking sucked. 3 hours of being in excruciating mental and physical pain. Out of nowhere. It sucked. It was so bad.
Maybe you should do that again with me. You'll be like, no, Cheryl, you're right. You probably do have MS.
No, see that was because that was the thing. And any of my friends, I know at least 2 of them watch these. Any of my friends can attest to this because I've talked to them. I've talked to them since this happened. But it happened. Their pain went away and like it happened. It was real.
You're like, wow, I feel really good. And they're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much.
It was like Cheryl on fucking Zanny Bar.
Yeah, no shit.
Whoa, this is great. I can do everything. Why is the world so heavy?
Why is everything so heavy?
Oh my god.
Anyway, so we'll stop talking about it. But I appreciate you talking about it anyway.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you talking.
Now I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
Sorry.
Yay!
I'm sorry. But I appreciate it.
Again, I won't get to have a sexy dream about Jim from The Office.
I'm sorry.
I got told I was a dork, by the way.
Did you tell him that?
I did.
Whatever.
He said you're a dork.
Whatever, that was funny. How come I don't get to have the sexy dreams about Jim?
Yeah. Instead, I have a vampire dream. What the fuck?
Anyway, thanks for talking to me.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. I'm glad I wasn't as bitchy as I thought I was going to be.
Yeah. Well, you started off with singing and being a very good actress, like you weren't in a bitchy mood, so appreciate it. It was fun. It was nice. And we'll never talk about this again.
I just don't know why. I just feel bitchy today. Like, I'm glad your sister came over because I needed someone to like bitch to.
Yeah.
Not even about anything. Like I don't have anything to bitch about. I just needed to be bitchy.
Yeah. In a safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need someone to come talk drama with me.
Well, my
'Cause
sister's staying here.
I feel it and I want to.
My sister's
express
staying
it.
here forever, so.
Just want to tell people what grinds my gears. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks for talking.
You're welcome.
We're gonna stop
I'm tired now.
Yeah, we're gonna stop now. Anyway, so thanks for listening, getting through it. Low batteries. Yeah, so this is what's in the box with Zach and half of Cheryl.
Beans and cornbread. Beans and cornbread. Boop boop. Beans and cornbread. Boop boop. There's bunnies.